So, I've been thinking a lot lately about Hogwarts Legacy Sequel, and in particular about what can be the overall theme. And I kept coming back to this idea that Hogwarts Legacy 2 should go brutal. Like, absolutely nuts with the whole concept. That goes for the story, for the visuals, and most importantly, for the stakes. And it's all coming from me playing a lot of Elden Ring. That game kept me hooked for so long, and it's absolutely bizarre. So grotesque and brutal in any way possible. And I know it kind of sounds crazy, but I actually think that developers should take some inspiration from it. And it's not about trying to be Elden Ring, but more about improving certain aspects of the game that I believe could make an even more immersive experience. So in this video, I've highlighted 5 areas where Hogwarts Legacy 2 should take inspiration from Elden Ring. Elden Ring is a pretty hard game, I have to say. It takes some practice and skill to succeed in it, but what makes it more intense are the stakes. In order to succeed, you need to be constantly upgrading your gear and your different stats using the money you earn by killing enemies. Every time you die, you drop all the money you've earned, and if you die again, all of those precious runes are lost forever. And this world is filled with all kinds of weird monstrosities that can kill you at any moment, making you think twice before deciding where to go or who to attack. In Hogwarts Legacy, I think we could use higher stakes in general. Not sure which mechanic can achieve similar levels of Elden Ring, but at least it would be great to have a quadrupled amount of enemies and enemy types. Of course, Hogwarts has to remain a safe haven, but let us think twice before venturing into the Forbidden Forest. Make us be very cautious when approaching certain enemies. Let us fear for our lives when we are outside the school grounds. One of the reasons why it feels like Elden Ring has so many enemies is because everything is killable in this game, literally. You can kill sheep, you can kill squirrel rabbits, you see Skrunkly Octopus with his babies, you kill them too. Hell, you can even kill friendly NPCs, which will ultimately cancel their storylines. Of course, by making this change in Hogwarts Legacy, it might push its rating to R. But again, Hogwarts can remain a safe place where you can't really kill anyone or anything, but perhaps the addition of regular animals and the ability to also maybe kill fantastic beasts can add more versatility to the game. I mean, I don't know why I would want to kill Nifflers, but this can also have its own moral implications. If you do choose to kill fantastic beasts or someone's owl, there will be punishment for such action and maybe even result in expulsion from school. The idea is to invite this freedom of choice, and if it becomes tricky, then perhaps a unique story or side story can be written for a given scenario where people make certain actions, like attacking things you shouldn't really be attacking. Another part why I like Elden Ring so much is because its world has a lot of similarities to the Wizarding world. Well, kinda. There were so many times in Elden Ring where I faced an enemy so weird, I asked myself, like, how is it even alive? Like, how is this even possible? And so many times just a simple sight of the different monstrosity would make me say, whoa, I do not want to deal with whatever that is. That is terrifying. And the same thing goes for the Wizarding world. There's a ton of dangerous and bizarre creatures lurking in the woods ready to tear us apart or shard and make our face melt. Plus, all types of dark magic that can cripple and inhumanize, if that's a word. Like the fact that there can be a face on someone else's back of a head or antlers grow instead of hair. That just instantly spikes my imagination of how all of this can go wrong and make for a really grotesque and brutal environment in the sequel. Also, if you walk around the castle, there's so many statues of almost demonic creatures that we've never really heard of or seen alive. Yes, some are gargoyles, but still, why can they be brought as an enemy to the game? I mean, Elden Ring has a weird metal cat that scares the living hell out of me. Or just I don't know, straight up balls that fall from the sky, that's an enemy too. The same thing goes for the environment. There's so much potential of the whimsical and weird in the Wizarding world that we should be seeing more of. There are many reasons why you would want to replay Elden Ring. One of them is the fact that there's lots of different classes you can choose from at the start. And throughout the game, you build the character you want to be by investing your runes in certain stats. In Hogwarts Legacy, we had the talents that kinda sorta did similar things, but very mildly. I think it would be cool to have a more contrasting difference between the talents you invest your skill points in, which ultimately determine your playstyle/class. That also goes for the storylines. There's so many side characters and side storylines in Elden Ring that you can't easily miss or screw up. Like, for example, there was this one dude by the church that asked my opinion about the fingers, if I thought they were weird or not. And considering the fact that I've seen weirder things in the game, I simply said they were fine. And the dude was like, okay, cool, thanks. And that was it. But later I found out that by choosing that line of dialogue, I've instantly canceled a whole line of storyline that extends across a huge portion of the game. In another situation, I knew I had a choice to fight for or against different NPCs, which were then determining different paths. Like, every choice that I made in the game felt so delicate because the outcomes were so different from one another. And it's not about morality, but more about the variety of the different routes you can take while on your journey. We've got a little bit of that aspect with the Sebastian storyline and also with the quest involving Richard Jackdaw, where if you were Hufflepuff you got to visit Azkaban and others didn't. But I think we could overall appreciate more of this type of uniqueness and replayability. Talking about uniqueness, I believe gear in the sequel should also be tied to specific locations and characters/enemies. If we want to get a really cool looking rope with awesome specs, we'll have to take a certain path in one of the side quests or kill a specific enemy, instead of just getting random stuff from every single chest. The brutality in Elden Ring is about not having any excuses. It's the combination of previously mentioned points plus the difficulty. It is a pretty difficult game. It challenges you everywhere you go. The super in-your-face bosses are annoying, but the fact that you can walk another way, get stronger, and come back beating that weird metal cat demon or super fast stretchy guy makes it more fun. And the more challenging the game is, the more it evokes that eagerness to be better at it for players. It's a paradox in gaming, but it's true. And it's not only about the difficulty. Elden Ring has that sass, that oomph. It has that brutalism. I can't find another way to describe it. It is felt in combat, in every strike of a sword, in every death, in every creature. It's just badass. Hogwarts Legacy had some part of that in combat. The spellcasting, the anvil hits were super satisfying. The ancient magic kills were so good. But I'd encourage it to take it to another level and extend it to other aspects of the game. But how could it go brutal? Hogwarts is supposed to be a nice and charming place. There's no way brutality and intense dramatism will work. But if you think about it, the Wizarding world is already a pretty brutal world with only one safe place, Hogwarts. Well, that we know of. But that contrast of having Hogwarts a safe place was what made it that cozy and charming. Throughout the Harry Potter series, we always had that trajectory of going from unsafe place to a safe place and vice versa. When we first saw Hogwarts, Harry was finally escaping the torturous life with Dursleys to a place where he found safety and friends. Then he had to go outside of the safe zone into the unknown and face dangers, after which yet again he had to return. And that part was strongly embedded into the storytelling and into our perception of Hogwarts. The fact that there are dangers outside, dark wizards, Death Eaters, werewolves, weird blast-ended scroots, all those crazy, dangerous creatures made the castle a symbol of safety, for most part. But it wouldn't feel like that without the brutalism outside of it. And this idea of going full-on brutal is of course just an idea. The developers, I'm sure, have their own plans on how to expand and build upon what they've built before. That also goes for the iconic locations that we didn't see in the original game, that I believe have a chance of appearing in the sequel. I highlight these places in this video. But now, guys, I want to hear your thoughts about this idea of going brutal. I appreciate you making all the way back to the end of the video. There are liking and subscribing buttons down below available to you for free. And yeah, I hope to see you in the next video.